Hey folks, and welcome to the Daily Ratings Podcast. It's a show where each week we're going to be sitting down with Vincent Daly to get his thoughts on the latest movies he's been watching, both older films and new releases. And don't worry, there's no spoilers. Vince will give a brief review of the movie, share some thoughts, and of course, then rate the film. The daily ratings are always fair, honest, and most importantly, they're consistent. On today's show, Vince will be rating and reviewing. We have Rebecca from 1940 by Alfred Hitchcock. We then have newly released films here. So we have Netflix's Havoc, directed by Gareth Evans. And we have theatrical releases Until Dawn by David F. Sandberg and The Legend of Ochi by Isaiah Saxon. So we have a weird array of films here, folks. Let's hear what Vincent Daly has to say about it. We'll get him in the room. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Mr. Vincent Daly, how we doing over there, buddy?
Thomas, how's it going?
It's going okay on my side of the table. How was your movies this week?
Very wide range of movies this week. Kind of.
You did have it. Yeah, it's very all over the place.
All over the place, genre-wise. I think the alternate title I was brewing on this week was "It Takes Two to Tango." I'll let you guess who's dancing with who, which kind of scores are dancing with each other. So, but it was all over the place. I did enjoy writing all these reviews quite a bit though, because it was something kind of new to talk about with each one of these. So.
They all are very different, and we're kicking off Alfred Hitchcock May.
Yes.
I always forget why we have it in May. Why we call it that?
Definitely don't have a good reason why it's in May.
Just there.
Yeah. May's before summer, and and I'm too busy usually to get to them otherwise.
And then we have an action movie, we have a horror film, and then we have a kids film. So we're all over the place.
All over the place.
We got something for everybody in this episode.
Yep.
Any opening notes at all?
No. Excited to get into Rebecca.
Okay, well, let's jump back to 1940. This is Rebecca, Alfred Hitchcock. I watched this film.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep, absolutely.
And so we watched Ochi together. You watched Rebecca. Did you?
And I watched Havoc.
Oh, look at that.
I watched two movies this week. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I had no interest in Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Kind of no interest in Havoc as well, but we'll get into that.
Sure.
But listen, okay, so Alfred Hitchcock came out with Rebecca. This doesn't put him on the map, but he's like widely respected for this film.
Yes.
And it got a lot of buzz in the year 1940 for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just start there because I don't know where to start with this. You open it up. Tell us about it. Anything you want, and we'll take it back and forth since we both saw it.
Yeah. Definitely a little bit of a rabbit hole around this one. There's a lot of research just into this era, these like 1940, 1941, 1942, Hitchcock's career and how it kind of interweaves with World War II at the time. We kick off Hitchcock Month with something that only recently landed on my radar, though, folks. On your birthday episode, Tom, we, of course, spoke about The Long Voyage Home.
Yep.
And how director John Ford split his efforts between releasing that film and Grapes of Wrath, both in 1940. Originally, I joked and said, Ford... he pulled the Ridley Scott and wound up having both movies lose at the Oscars, at least for Best Picture, in that slot. Well, it turns out Hitchcock released two movies that year as well. Which,
that's what you did back in the day.
Guess, these working men.
Quick shoots and let's do the next one.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Exactly. It's not even like a moneymaker for him. But while Rebecca 1940 may have won the Best Picture slot for that year.
Oh, it did win Best Picture.
Yes, at the very top.
Okay.
Alongside it was Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent, both being notable because they are the first movies he made after leaving the UK due to World War II. I thought, what better way to start this kind of second year of the study parallel with this new era for a legendary director? And I was real happy that we watched this one because I was ecstatic with this film.
Okay.
I really thought this was, I'll say it again later on in the review. This was a Hitchcock movie. Year one of the of this study. There was a lot that I kind of wanted to establish which Hitchcock I didn't like. I wanted to watch really early stuff just to get a ley line of it. Man, this was like in full swing, though.
This makes sense that this is your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because he's done a couple films already, and I think he just got the craft down a little bit better.
Yep.
And then he hasn't gotten into the... I don't want to be rude. I don't want to... He didn't get into... like the gimmicky stuff.
Yes.
And I hate to
where
say
he has
that,
his TV show and whatnot. And,
well, even him dealing with, experimenting with different tech.
Yeah.
He's always into the new thing, right? So he was into the 3D.
Yep,
As soon as that became a thing, he was into it. This, I feel like, is a sweet spot of that, where not so fresh and new and green, but not so into the high tech stuff.
Absolutely.
And, overall, I did enjoy myself as well. I'm dying to hear you really are about this film.
Yeah, this clicked in a way that I just didn't expect for a 1940 film, like 1940 on the dot, to do, and clicked in a way that I said, "Wow!" I mean, this gets me excited to watch more Hitchcock.
Good.
It really compounds that. Rebecca is a unique psychological mystery romance based off of the book of the same name. It's a great experience of pulling back the layers of what we expect from this story, and again, kind of shocked me of how flawless it was watching it in modern day. This is not a late 40s film. This is 1940. I mean, this technically is in the same wheelhouse of like a lot of the old Astaire movies that we covered. It was such a movie, such a film on its own, worth watching. To set the bittersweet tone of the film, we open up our story seeing the affluent Mr. De Winter brooding over a cliff, darkly contemplating suicide. Haunted by the death of his wife, this sparks a hopeful meet-cute when a concerned woman intervenes. Oddly enough, this woman, played by Jane Fontaine, is never given a name directly until we know her as Mrs. De Winter through a shotgun marriage with our demanding widower. Whisked away to what should be a dream come true, our new Mrs. is downright overwhelmed with the opulent lifestyle she is thrusted into, most of all in the shadow of the recently deceased Rebecca, the most beautiful woman anyone has ever seen. Slowly, Mrs. De Winter starts to acclimate, and with it, an outline of sorts of who Rebecca was and what might have happened to her comes into view. But the more she understands, the more she is tormented by the role she has to fill, risking to be crushed under the expectations of Rebecca. This stars the classically trained Laurence Olivier, just off the bat, I mean, really, a name that many will recognize personally. This is my first time seeing anything with him.
No, you saw one other thing.
Really?
He was in the database. He was in the Grapes of Wrath.
Oh,
from like 1980, right?
Oh, yeah, but I've never seen the Grapes of Wrath.
I think it's on the site.
No, not true.
Let's go. To the dailyratings.com.
Yeah, this is the natural plug. Are you sure?
It's something. It might not be Grapes of Wrath, but it's something. You want something with it. But anyway.
You think of Lawrence Fishburne.
No, I mean, I put it on the site, and it said that he was in something.
He was in something
Maybe
else?
it was just Lawrence was... Okay, so... Okay, no. You know what? You're totally right. It must have just something else just wrongly popped up.
Listen,
it must have been Lawrence something. Yeah?
I like these moments because I do want to be tested on what's in the database.
Listen, we're at almost 1,400 films here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fault you if you let one slip in your mind here and there.
It's so true.
You know what I mean?
So true.
I mean, that's what the Houdini Award's all about.
Right. It's letting it slip. I say classically trained because...
emphasis on classically trained.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this dude...
He reeks of it.
Yeah.
I mean, in a nice way.
Oh, no, for sure. He reeks of it. His like Shakespearean air about him, I think that plays into the type of roles he gets. And I found this role interesting because it almost played into that same air around his acting persona. Quickly, you'll see De Winter's has a lot of imperfections, especially around his anger being the first layer we peel back to the mystery. De Winter is charming for sure, but more than a bit arrogant, especially being rude where his riches blind him to kind of common courtesy. He has a line that really jumped out to me on this one that just captures this I don't know, imperfect imbalance that he has. The two are swooning together in the car. It's very old-fashioned, They're kind of just like, cheeks together but not together, not kissing. But he says the line, promise me to never wear black satin or pearls or to never be 36-year-old. And it's just like, wow. That's a demanding guy even in 1940. I mean, I want to know what he was implying to happen after 36 years old for Jane Fontaine.
Right.
The real
Zeus. He played Zeus in Clash of the Titans, 1981.
Whoa!
I was spelling Lawrence wrong.
Okay. I remember Clash of the Titans for sure. Yeah, absolutely. You got it. The real star is Jane Fontaine, though. This performance might have felt a bit old Hollywood, her kind of a Atlantic style, to her speaking. But her ability to show emotional anguish in this relationship, I mean, it is fantastic. It puts it on a whole different level and puts it on a level that felt modern and completely separated from 1940. The toll we see this taking sells the psychological spin to the story and does so in a surprisingly modern way, something I'll touch on in just a moment. She only goes on to work with Hitchcock in one more other movie, a year later in a movie called Suspicion, not really on my list to tackle. But for my money, Al should have kept on working with her a few more times in his rotating list of blondes that he likes to pull from. I mean, I really think she's fantastic here.
I think she's very good. She presents she's pretty young when she filmed this.
Yeah.
But she has the chops to do it. She reminds me of is it Vera something? The one who's in Psycho.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And also a John Wayne movie as well. Mm-hmm. But the same, beautiful, but has the chops.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be one thing if this was just kind of a messy romance. I think without her, it might have just boiled down to a messy romance. The psychological aspect, if anything, the Hitchcockness to this, it's all through her, and it's all through this performance, this tortured performance. It was just really something else. I can't tell you how brilliant I thought this was, though. One of the most subtle touches to the writing was never showing what happened to Rebecca directly. Instead, not only do we feel the unknowable expectations the new wife is feeling, but we are on the hook to puzzle together the backstory as well. And I think it's a small touch that pays dividends again and again and again while you're watching this movie, especially for your interest to actually want to unpack a mystery rather than just being along for the ride. We are constantly reminded of Rebecca's beauty and Rebecca's elegance and everything Rebecca was, but we are never shown even a simple picture of Rebecca once. By not giving in on this once, Hitchcock lets our imagination of Rebecca grow as large as it needs to be to match what Fontaine is able to show on screen, what she is feeling. And it was just a fantastic touch to the story developed as you're watching, all coming from the restraint to show what the audience wants most. This is where, watching some of these Hitchcock movies, a little bit last year and now kicking off this year, where I see it, I'm like, wow, this is, maybe in modern day, a similar move would be done, but this is a masterstroke here. Him not showing Rebecca once was just it's what we want to see. It's what's built up in the story, but he deprives you of that. He deprives you and keeps you on the hook more and more with that. I just absolutely love that so much. I don't know. What are some of your thoughts around the era of Rebecca built up?
Yeah, so I really love her performance, first of all, and she was doing a great work at. She's the backbone of the film completely, and she's selling it. She's selling the vibes going on, kind of. And for me, the themes, the camera work, and the style is pulling a lot of the work in this film. I'm definitely nowhere near as hot as you are.
Fair.
I pleasantly enjoyed the film, but for me, I wasn't crazy about it.
Sure.
I wasn't loving it, but I did enjoy it, and it's that kind of stuff. It's what Hitchcock was doing off the camera, almost.
Yeah.
And him directing the film, it was doing a lot to help it. And that kind of stuff, that smart, intelligent way to direct the film and to hide that thing and do the audience do some of the work in their own heads very intelligent, and there's other intelligent things in this film as well, which goes a long way, and I think is why it keeps up so well 80 years later.
Yeah. Doesn't really hold your hand, but also is such an intentional choice not even a small picture. Even when they go in her room, it's like there's not a single picture on this nightstand. It's all...
For some reason, I thought there was, but you're right.
No, it's all De Winter, and it's like, wow, really, really, really something else.
I just think that the movie was a little stiff for me. I don't know if I was the biggest Lawrence fan.
Sure.
In this, I almost
I'm
thought
with you there.
he was the one who dragged it down a bit.
Yeah.
So even the scenes that you're talking about, he's actually nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
In these scenes.
Yeah.
I think the strongest points was this film is considered a thriller. I don't know if I can really call it that.
I don't think so.
But in the most thrilling moments, and in those moments specifically what you're talking about, especially when she goes into her room and things like that, that's where it's hitting the most. And it's solely because of Hitchcock and her pulling that along. Yeah. And it does a lot of the heavy lifting, in my opinion, of how much I enjoyed the film.
For sure. And I think I'm with you 100%. It's not really like a thriller, especially in comparison to Hitchcock, what he's doing in 10, 20 years. That's like a true thriller. In terms of
back then, I'm sure it was unbelievable.
But that's where I describe it as it's a mystery romance, but specifically with a psychological spin. And I think that's where we get some of that Hitchcock DNA.
Oh, it feels like Hitchcock. Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely. Especially trying to think of how anything would compete with this as far as like how dark the story can get. The main maid, I forget her name. She's been in other stuff though.
She's a creepster.
Yeah. And just how that kind of plays into some manipulation as well. Really, really good stuff. But I'm with you. Hitchcock's directing, it's a style that is felt all over the film, mostly in how tension is built up in a few key scenes. Two that stick out to me. In one scene, we are given kind of like some dark insights into De Winter's true feelings. While home movies are flickering over our characters' faces, I really loved the aesthetics of this scene just because it gave us only the blinks between the frames of this old-fashioned camera going, or projector rather going. You can only kind of grasp little moments and the emotions of how they change in the scene of both characters. By far my favorite scene, though, and I think you might have been referring to this as far as the camera work, is the boathouse scene where De Winters is recalling the night Rebecca went missing. And the camera starts from on I think it's a cigarette ashtray on a couch, and then with not a single, actor that we recognize in frame, no one in frame, it follows the footsteps in one take of what an argument might have played out as from De Winter's perspective, and then finally ends on Laurence Olivier to, basically cap that whole scene off. It really was just one of those moments where I was like, not only was no one doing things like this was a great looking scene today. A real make or break moment of where I talk about we watch in modern day. This felt as good as any psychological romance that we might get. I don't know. I'll say it in just a moment, but I'll give away the goat on Lifetime or true crime stuff.
It's funny you say it, if it was made today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be schlock today.
It would be, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, but I think there's something to the respect of back then where I'm really standing by my beliefs of watching it in modern day. I think this does a lot more to even let it compete to those, dime a dozen kind of twisted romance stories that you'll get on TV during the daytime, or how it plays into kind of like the true crime phase of everything. Let me tell you, there is plenty here to let it compete and exceed what those are going for. And folks, I think that's what goes to show the quality of this film. I could compare this to many similar modern stories, but all of them would still fall short of this almost 80-year-old movie. The romance twists in unpredictable and dark ways that, once again, felt modern, felt satisfying in a way that a mystery should be, but straight up, apples to apples, this movie I would compare to a lot of Lifetime true crime slop that, would just use a fraction of what this story has and stop short. They would stop at one onion peel. They would stop at maybe a couple layers. And make a whole
film about it,
that would be the twist. That would be it. But Rebecca just doesn't stop there. And there is always another layer to peel back, always another wrinkle to unfold, and that's what had me saying, now this is a Hitchcock movie.
Oh, boy.
We're going to go ahead and give Rebecca 1940 and 84.
An 84%?
Really phenomenal. Very close to dethroning Psycho as my favorite Hitchcock movie.
You're getting there, yeah.
But we'll have to rewatch Psycho soon enough to give it the shot.
Wow, 84% for Rebecca. I'll tell you what about Hitchcock. It's not like every film hits with him.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we've proven that last year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
We talked a little bit this weekend about, just Vertigo and how we're kind of both at odds with that movie, especially the twist towards the end. This doesn't have those problems at all.
I'm surprised. I'd like to see how much you like this film. Again, I liked it. I'm not as hot.
Sure.
And I'm not going to spend my time, just tearing down everything you just said. But I think that's great. I think you did a great job of going through it. And I think for a large audience, this could be something to go back and look at.
Yeah.
Now, it does have a tinge of just classic romance of what you can get today, but it does have an intelligentness. It does have an intelligentness that Hitchcock provides.
Yeah.
And the writing can be pretty, actually, very witty and funny at times. So it's good. I mean, I'm glad I watched it. Why don't you get into trying to watch it if somebody does?
Oh, yeah, sure. So this is currently unlicensed. I think technically Disney owns the license. Don't know what that's about, but this has been floating around free online in a couple different things. I actually found this through kind of an aggregate website called Just Watch. They just had a free stream tied to it as one of the options. So a little hard to watch because it's not as easy as going on one of the services you might be subscribed to and finding it on there.
Right.
Or even more so, you can't just rent it on Amazon. That's where it's in licensing limbo. So I would say start with maybe Googling Rebecca 1940 for a free stream online. If not, I would say this was worth watching any chance you get, especially if you're into studying these Hitchcock movies like we are on the show. A little not so cut and dry.
I wonder if it's on TCM at all.
Maybe. I don't know if they get involved in their own licensing. I would expect Janus or Criterion.
They should really pick it up.
Exactly.
I'm a little shocked that they haven't.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the story is beyond licensing limbo and all these streaming services now playing hardball. As
right, of course,
things get divvied up more and more.
Okay, all right. Well, that's Rebecca. A little tough to find, but if you're interested, Vin gave it an 84%. That's a very good. That might be the highest score this year so far for new and old films.
Yeah, and definitely the high score as far as what we've talked about Hitchcock wise on the podcast.
Okay, cool. Well, let's jump over to Netflix.
There's not going to be an easy transition on any of
I'm not even going to do. I'm not going to do the producer pitch yet. We're going to go straight into Tom Hardy doing yet another accent in Havoc. It's a new release. It's all new on Netflix. Just came out this past Friday. Starring Tom Hardy, starring a lot of other people, and I'll let Vin take it away. It's directed by a director that's kind of near and dear to your heart and has opened up the door for a lot of things. And in the action sphere, I don't know if we necessarily got what we were hoping for in this film.
Definitely not.
Break down Havoc, and how did you enjoy yourself?
Well, chalk this one up to another Netflix movie that they had just no clue how to market. And released it unceremoniously to the streaming this week. Well, Havoc looks like your dime a dozen action schlock that somehow pulled Tom Hardy to star in it. Believe it or not, I have been keeping my eye on this production of the movie for one specific reason. Our Welsh writer-director, Gareth Evans, gave us two of the finest action movies of the 2010s, that being The Raid Redemption and The Raid Part 2. Both incredible works of fight choreography and well worth checking out. For a very long time, anticipating this movie with no release schedule, so thanks a bunch, Netflix. I mean, this was literally on my radar probably for 2 years now.
It did. I don't know if the release date was quite set when we had our Tom Dailies, but it was here for a little while.
Yeah. But I knew it was in some sort of production, that it was a Tom Hardy, Gareth Evans project that was in the pipeline.
Right, yeah.
I fully intended to do a whole director episode for Evans, but looking at his recent projects, This is the first time he's returning to direct an action movie in over 10 years, and I think I'll just kind of settle on covering the 2 Raid movies in the next following weeks once I have a bit more breathing room. And certainly I think for next week specifically, I'll need some relief from Thunderbolts and actually getting something that I enjoy. I'm really not looking forward to Thunderbolts. Sorry. Havoc is a crime action flick that takes place in a fictional city just overflowing with bad guys and badasses who all seem to know the ancient art of gun fu. Also, it's a secret Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and he ends with a Christmas line. I was like, oh, okay.
There's Christmas music in it, too.
Yeah. The story launches us into a runaway cop chase with thugs way in over their heads. Their little stunt might have picked up too much attention, though, because next thing we see is their drug deal getting poached by a lethal hit squad. The stage is set, and Tom Hardy is introduced as Walker, our homicide detective, trying to pick up the pieces in this tangled mess. The good news, folks, is that he has an interesting character to play, with messy connections to the trash he's trying to clean up off the streets. The bad news is that his acting routine is only a notch above the trash we get from Venom movies.
I know.
I mean, listen, my unsolicited acting advice to Tom Hardy is stop the New York accents.
Or any accents.
Yeah.
The bike riders, anything.
True.
I mean, it's almost like Tom Hardy comes out with the movie and it's, okay, what accent are we going to get in this one?
Exactly. I mean, for Christ's sake, he's the only British actor, I think, that does, like, the last, 7 movies? He hasn't been British in it. Just like you'd think you'd want Tom Hardy for... his vibe in Inception, Bronson.
Yeah.
These are the Tom Hardy roles that made him famous. I don't know. I just don't understand why.
Look, I'm fine if you want to do some accent work and you do some American films.
Yeah.
I just wish it was a little bit like Colin Farrell. He's the guy. He's the thing of just you don't say that he's not even American, and you would never know it from watching his films.
Absolutely.
Right? That's how good he is.
Yep.
Tom Hardy struggles with the accents.
Yeah.
He's becoming a meme a little bit.
Yeah. And this does not help that. So funny that you mentioned Colin Farrell, though, because, this kind of gave me some... I didn't really watch that much of Penguin, but it kind of felt very comic booky as far as the world and whatnot. I felt a little Gotham.
I was going to bring it up because we don't really know what city we're in. We kind of feel like we're in New York City.
Right.
But we're in a grungier, at times... 80s and at times 2065 New York City.
Yep. There's definitely a weird fictional setting, that comes about.
Right.
A dirty police department in the city does not help the hornet's nest kicked by knocking over this triad safe house. So with tensions at their peak, Hardy races to find the culprits involved to stem the bleeding on a situation already out of control. Really, on that note of what we were just saying, though, this was unexpectedly stylized. I would say mostly in a good way. To me, it felt a lot like Dredd 2012 for how cartoony its cops and robbers crime is. The movie's tagline as well being "No law, only disorder."
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to actually watch this right after Rebecca and talk about just like whiplash.
No, I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't.
I'm glad I put it off too. It might have just brought both movies down. Like we talked about Sorcerer and Wages of Fear, like
bringing
both
each other up.
them
Yes,
up.
It's not a good doubleheader.
Yeah,
it's a really bad doubleheader,
really
actually.
There are a lot of similarities to Dredd, though, especially including Hardy being this hard-boiled cop with a new rookie for the story, something that also relates to probably, maybe even hundreds of action films. I found this incredibly ironic, considering how the first Raid movie absolutely inspired Dredd 2012 in its kind of contained apartment block structure. Most of all, though, you can feel it in the action and the camera work, which has an overly digital feel, compounding its kind of stylized world. One look of how shaky gunshots are or how punches thrown feel, and you can see the striking similarities. Personally, I think the tell here is actually in the gunfire itself. Often, gunfire unleashes a hail of bullets, like oh my god, like how many bullets is coming out of this gun?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, very, very cartoony. It also feels distinctly weightless because of digital muzzle flares at the end of every barrel, or just like them being digital effects. I don't care if there's a lot of blood effects of someone getting riddled with bullets.
Right.
It kind of doesn't sell the scene when the car behind them isn't showing the bullets hitting the car, the bullet holes.
I mean, listen, it's got way more logic problems than just that. I mean, it's got some serious action logic problems.
Oh, okay.
First of all, with the guns, it's bad. I mean, the way, at one point somebody has like a pistol and the amount of bullets coming out of it and the way they come out, I mean, that kind of stuff is really bad. A lot of bullets in this film.
Yeah.
A lot of bullets. I don't know how many bullets it takes to kill somebody, but this film really overdoes it.
Yeah.
And after you've seen it for the 30th time, it really loses its luster.
Yeah, it's true.
And in fact, after the first action scene, the entire film feels, as you said, almost weightless because it's so... when you're so over the top, and for every single action moment, it just loses everything. It's meaningless. You're not wowed by it. You don't think it's cool anymore.
Sure.
It's way too. It's just doing constantly.
Yeah.
And then the digital effects are really. Did I just say like digital blood at times?
Oh yeah.
Not good. Everything around the action that made Raid super cool. This is
and visceral and like jaw on the floor action.
This is failing epically.
Yeah.
It's trying to be as badass and as over the top as possible because we are flooded now with action films like this.
It's true. It's true.
And it misses so much. But the digital aspect, the first point that you brought up, is to blame for so much of it.
Yeah. Not to mention the copious CGI used for car scenes. It really only works if you are on board with the stylization. And I think...
It's heavy. It's a heavy style.
Yeah. I think I put it with Dread. I put it in almost like a little bit of like a Sin City vibe. At least these car chases
maybe
give me a vibe of that, of just like, oh, it's not really meant to be real. It's, it's meant to be style over everything.
And that is 100% that. Now, I feel like, I've never seen Dread, but I feel like this is worse than Dread. This has to be worse than Dread.
Yeah, Dread is actually, I'll give a peek kind of behind the scenes for folks listening. Dread is on a list of some rewatches that I want to do that I've been building up. I think this definitely cemented that because I remember Dread much fonder than this movie, yet it has a much harsher score. So, not super great. There really is. It's in that digital gunfire that looks crazy, just how much it is, almost fantasy, but nonetheless doesn't exactly work in an action sense because the return of that gunfire, the impact, the lethality, it ultimately cheapens the gunfire itself, the action itself, you know? So, while a lot of this sounds like mostly bad aspects, I do say that there are some glimmers of hope with this. Pretty much exactly halfway through, we do get a great fight scene and shootout worthy of the action caliber that our director brings, with a bumping soundtrack from the EDM artist Gestalfelstein. This club scene has everything you want. Finally, we get an extended hand-to-hand choreography that is somewhere in the realm of the fight styles we got from the Raid, especially just a lot of like someone gets knocked down and the camera follows them all the way and then it follows them up. Those kind of camera tricks that Evans use, that lethality is what I was craving it the most. I was really hoping we got just more of that. Realistically, I'll say this again, we only get like maybe 2 of these action scenes that are really worth it in the whole film. This halfway point in the club and then the final shootout. Everything else, though, there's just a lot that was not, they weren't really action scenes at all. They were maybe like a quick shootout, and then ultimately it was just to move the plot along somewhere. They're not for just like, wow, I'm watching this for the action. It's always at the hip of this like, crime conspiracy that's unfolding,
I can't say I really enjoyed any I know what 2 scenes you're talking about. I kind of found it to be a bit of a letdown.
Really?
I think it was just trying to be too over the top. It was trying way too hard and felt so fake.
Sure.
Because the way it was shot, because of all the fake effects, because everything about it. And I don't know, I think the fact that we had to be in a club felt way too trying to be John Wick. Did it have to be a club? Obviously the last one definitely has its own setting and that last, there's the big shebang at the end.
Yep.
It was so over the top and repetitive. It lost the sauce, I think.
Yeah.
It was too saucy.
It was.
I can't even taste
saucy.
the meal anymore. They just smothered it with sauce.
It was too saucy.
And that's just my opinion. Maybe, I don't know. I was not. Maybe I was just a little annoyed by it, I think.
I think that's totally okay, because by the point that we have to wait to get there, I think a lot of viewers could just be done with the style, just be turned off from it. So regardless of us getting an action scene that maybe lives up to some of the choreography of the raid, it's 50 minutes in. And it's like, well, a little too late, honestly.
It could be that. It could be overall, maybe I just wasn't enjoying the film. Listen, the writing isn't good. The story is just like, okay.
Yeah.
And most importantly, there is not one actor in this that I can point to that and say, they did a good job on this one. Everyone is subpar
and
to
cookie cutter,
relatively bad.
Yeah,
and my boy is in this and everything.
Yeah, Timothy Oliphant.
No one is doing a good job. Nobody. My boy Timothy Oliphant, Tom Hardy, which we already said, Forrest Whitaker, are unknown actors that we haven't really seen much of before. No one is doing a good job. And so I think the entire thing I'm a little soured on.
Sure.
So when the flash and bang comes, I think I'm already just like, okay, you're trying. Something's going on here. That's all.
I feel you. And I think, again, all these elements, all these little bad notches to the experience or the first half of this film, I feel like could probably sabotage someone watching this for the first time, that they don't even get to what slivers of good there are, or at least what I'm seeing, on my end. I also got to vent a little bit here on just some of the dialogue online around action films, because I'm really into action films and like calling heads or tails if it's good or bad. There's been a lot of chatter around club fights being overdone, post John Wick.
Okay.
I just need to shut this down. I mean, you can go back to anything from Blade or even further.
So you're shooting me down too. I mean, I literally just made the club comment.
I'm shooting it down. Yeah.
Come on.
No, listen. You go back to Blade. You go back to Hong Kong Kung Fu. Listen, the club fight is not only a secret sauce to a good action flick, it is a damn core pillar of action the last 25 years.
I can't believe you're saying this.
Oh, yeah.
You are Mr. We've been there, done that. We all these copycats.
I feel you.
I don't need nobody. I certainly don't need nobody too.
Yeah, I definitely don't need
any
nobody
of this.
too.
I mean, the problem with the club scene is you follow Tom Hardy coming in, and it's like the music, they're trying to get the exact same.
Yep, it's faded.
Does Blade have that kind of music as well?
My God, the first scene of Blade is so good.
I don't know.
We need to rewatch Blade.
I'm fine with that. But John Wick, if it was...
I get the observation that John Wick maybe had so much fun with the club scene that it ruined it for everyone else.
Okay. Can you acknowledge that?
Sure. But we can't get rid of club scenes. Club fights are like, it's the best scene for a shootout.
What is this? I'm trying to think, what is this like? What other genre of film... that this movie did this, and everybody just tries to copy that. Maybe it's just the Goodfellas.
Oh, sure.
Of club side of the club. So John Wick is the
Goodfellas of action.
Yes. And because everyone else is just a copycat.
I actually do like that.
Okay.
Even though I'm shooting down, like, getting rid of club scenes, I do like that a lot.
I can't believe you're pro club scene still.
I am. Because, I mean, ultimately, again, John Wick, great. Perfect in its use of it. The club shootout is still like, it's a core pillar of a good action
You know what?
movie.
This is just like, sometimes we have all the fancy cheeses in the world. Sometimes, man, you still love going to the fridge and grabbing those American singles. You do.
No, not American.
Oh yeah. You know what? Just give it to me. I don't care about all the other stuff. All I need is a club scene, and sometimes all I need is some plastic cheese.
some cardboard cheese stick. But yeah, people online have been I'm venting on this. People have been way too adamant about just like, and even calling like John Wick bad.
I gotta hop on some of these forums.
Yeah, you gotta
find some new friends here.
Get in the water.
Yeah.
When it comes to the negatives about this, though, I sadly can't point the finger anywhere else but Evans himself. I mean, he writes all his own scripts. He's a writer-director. I mean, anything stylistically even in here, I mean, he's got full control over.
Yeah.
On one side, like I said, I like some of the stylization here. I like how clean-cut, badass villains we get in this, especially the triad hit squad that doesn't say a single word and is exclusively hot Asian women. I mean, that kind of rocks. But so much of this story, I felt, just got in the way of what just should have been effortless action. Evans having full control over this where it matters most. It was frustrating to see this focus more on story beats around corruption and conspiracy rather than setting up visceral action set pieces that are simple and effective. I'm not saying story doesn't matter, but story was far from why Evans earned a name in the action genre in the first place. Bottom line, the action, while occasionally cool looking, is something that I cannot help but be disappointed with, especially considering the expectations I had coming off of the raid. It takes well over 50 minutes to get any good action, and honestly, like I said, we really only get 2 big scenes in the whole movie, and I think that's an atrocity coming off of the raid, where it's all action. Literally 100%
It is
action.
the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, while I hoped for this, or I should say what I hoped for this, was having the fight choreography speak for itself, as it does with his 2 previous other action movies. Instead, I think what we got was a blandly acceptable action flick for Netflix that has already been behind a while on the type of action offerings it's putting out, and all of it falling short of why I cared about it in the first place. We're going to go ahead and give Havoc a 49.
A 49%. This man is feeling generous. It must be a Christmas movie because Santa Claus giving this gift out.
Okay. You got me. All right. You need to illustrate then with the Tommy Two Shoes. How low does this go?
I didn't actually have a Tommy Two Shoes. I thought we were going to be so on the same page of shitting on this movie. And look, it got a 49. You're not saying this is a good movie.
I'm not saying it's good.
But I don't think this had any redeemable qualities.
Really?
Any redeemable qualities. Because everything that's in here, I can get anywhere else at a much better price. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a much better journey. I don't even care that I had to wait 50 minutes for the first action scene.
Or something to really pop off.
It just that action scene itself let me down.
Sure.
And maybe it's just because we have a saturation in the market. Because everything feels like been there, done that. It could be that. Maybe I'm turning into you with this. But it's just how I felt. And at the end, it just, the way it was shot and the effects, boy, oh boy, did it feel weightless. Did it not feel like it had stakes? And I guess that's all. That's all I've got for it. I'm not going to give it 2 shoes.
Okay.
I think I disagree with you enough on that. Listen, it's below 50 is where it belongs. What I thought, I didn't even have a number in my head what I thought you were going to give it. But 49, okay. I will say, I think even I had it in my notes. This is not, I did. It's not Rebel Moon bad.
No.
So I do want to say that.
No, even in its over digital elements, where it's like, what the hell am I looking at?
Right, it's functioning way better.
Yeah.
And I could say, I don't think this is a go ahead and throw it on if you're just looking to watch a movie at night. This, to me, is a laundry folding movie.
Sure. Which is...
those are levels there.
Yeah,
levels.
I think that's actually great levels.
Yeah.
We might... There's throw a movie on, and then there's throw a movie on in the background.
I think there's a date night movie. You're making it a staple of the night. There's, what do you want to watch? This is new. Let's watch it.
Sure.
And then there's I'm folding laundry. What am I going to put on?
I need background noise, and maybe I can't.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what that is. Okay, very good. So Havoc, 49%. We'll jump into Spooky Town, USA now. There's going to be some background to this film. It's like I know about this property. I don't know
really
about it.
Should.
Exactly. Somebody brought it up to me that we played it in my apartment. And I was like, okay, yeah. This film is just called Until Dawn. We'll jump into it right away. Give us a background on it.
Yeah. So our latest big release from Sony is based off of a very popular video game that kicked off a studio style, seeing plenty of spin-offs. Supermassive Games is a studio that has gotten famous making horror games that feel like a movie, including real-life actors where you make the decisions. Until Dawn 2015 specifically being the first of these, very intentionally leaning into giving you control over the unfortunate characters in your typical cabin-in-the-woods style slasher, gamifying who you could keep alive until dawn. Really, my elevator pitch for all of Supermassive Games is kind of think of like a horror-themed choose-your-own-adventure, but with the prestige of new games and actors mocapped into it. So there's obviously a lot more to it, but structurally and gameplay-wise, it's basically, you want to go left, you want to go right, and maybe you kill who you're doing it with. I played a few of their games now. And while over the years they have pulled on many real-life celebrity cameos as inclusions, I find it really interesting that none of them returned for this. Specifically, when it comes to Until Dawn, Hayden Panettiere from like Heroes and stuff like that, and Rami Malek, of all people, were the big stars in that original game. They are nowhere to be found in this, which I felt was kind of an odd misstep for what maybe just should have been, hey, you were in this once?
Whatever came down to budgeting.
Yeah.
Couldn't afford them.
Yeah,
because no one in this is as familiar face.
No, not at all. Not at all. We get one inclusion from the games. I'll talk about it in a second. But Until Dawn 2025 offers something new for fans, though. Not able to be a simple slasher that is really only novel because it's a game in the first place. Right away, we are keyed into the strangeness of Glore Valley as a group of teens searches for their friend that went missing only 1 year ago. They stumble upon an anomaly of sorts and become trapped by an ominous mechanical hourglass that resets on its own when the sands run out. The entire group is promptly slaughtered, but wakes up as they were, only to face a new type of horror trapped within the same loop.
Oh.
Not at all like the game, but kind of interesting.
A lot like Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The unavoidable comparison.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right. I say it later, too, in my notes. There is only one way out, though. Survive the night until dawn, or become a part of the nightmare to haunt the next unfortunate soul to come across this town. So, very gamey-like in itself.
Yeah, not terrible.
Yeah, this Groundhog's Day. I mean, really, they even say it without saying it in the movie
Because it's that obvious.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That style of premise was not something pulled at all from the games, but I do think it was the most interesting part of this by far. When you consider the goal of adapting a game-like experience, restarting a save file, trying again, another life,
That's good, Vin, yeah.
Yeah, this becomes adapting the feel of the game rather than the story directly, but it's still kind of a little odd that they had a pretty good... That first Until Dawn is probably the best, actually, of Supermassive Games.
Okay.
And it's just odd that they just didn't do that directly.
Which one did I play?
That's Until Dawn.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So, which is why our friend was like, wait, you don't remember this? The only returning cast member is Peter Stormare, playing Dr. Hill.
Yeah.
He's also used in a way that only later games give a hint towards, kind of giving us a glimpse at the larger world at play. And, I maybe have more to say about this, but I am very cynical. And this just all seems like a very convenient sequel hook if this performs well at all. So, yeah.
I don't think it will. It's a lot of busyness going on right now.
Yeah.
You've got if some Sinners has taken this audience.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Definitely just in its horror slot, but also in like kind of more bloody horror.
Yeah, it's a late teen. It's a great late teen movie to go.
Yeah,
they would rather go Sinners to this. Yeah,
for sure. Sadly, that really is all I have to praise as far as concept. The movie operates on a lot of jump scares. In fact, I would say almost exclusively jump scares as the payoff, even though there are plenty of creepy and gory moments that could have just worked on their own, but then are just like tacked on at the end with a jump scare. There's some creativity in tackling different types of horror within this repeat premise, but it honestly makes no difference when all of them are punctuated with the same way the variety of this concept suddenly becoming formulaic. I think part of this, unfortunately, does have to do with our director, David Sandberg. It's been a while since he's returned to his horror roots, being tied up with the two Shazam movies. But even looking back at those older projects, I mean, he did like the Annabelle spinoff, and I mean, I just can't really say I was excited to see him to return to horror. Regardless, I feel like, if anything, he needed more of a follow-up spiritual successor to Shazam without being Shazam. You know, I feel like that was the right career move here, but I guess that backlash towards the second Shazam movie was, really catastrophic. They really hated it. They had Zachary Levi like practically crying on social media to people who see the movie. Like I said, though, these recent video game adaptations, I have a real interest in seeing and calling heads or tails on them. Seeing if these projects get better and better at just giving us the game. This both succeeds and fails at that goal. The assignment of making a PlayStation slasher into a movie was almost impossible to mess up, considering the original game was just trying to be a movie you play. But at the same time, this still just jerks the fans around with an alternate telling of the story that just probably would have been more successful if you just adapted the game. Give us the game.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it again because I really don't love the film, but Warcraft, a good, I mean, Christ, 10 years back maybe? A couple years back. But it's just like, you just jump into Warcraft. It's got a lot of lore. It's interesting.
Right.
Jump into that world.
You kind of like Dungeons and Dragons too. That's not a video game. Okay, well, I'm not going to get involved in this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're right. Warcraft did a good job, absolutely. Just stay on that one.
No, you are right. You are right, because they don't start in like a real world and be like whisked away to this bullshit. No, you're right. D&D is definitely in that same area. As much as I didn't love that movie, but I just think I don't know. It's a little bit of a hit or miss. I think this works mostly actually as a companion piece for Supermassive games, considering they have a huge fan base that will honestly play anything they release because of this like choose your own adventure style. It's very playable. Honestly, I'm sure Papa Sony doesn't mind the cross-pollination of their audiences either. We're going to go ahead and give Until Dawn 2025 a 55.
Ooh, 55. Okay. For a very select audience. I mean, I think this
video game any other week probably would have done decent.
I think you're spot on right there.
It's a fun horror movie.
This should have come out in Dumpuary. I wouldn't be surprised if it would do like a double.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, put this up against like Night Swim or whatever Blumhouse schlock there was. This would have wiped the floor with it.
Yeah. Night Swim. Boy, that was...
Yeah, that was January.
That was over a year ago.
No, that was January.
No, Night Swim was last year, wasn't it?
No, I think it was January.
What the hell is Night Swim?
Exactly.
No, it did not come out this year.
I think that was January.
Wow. You watched it?
No, we didn't cover it.
I'm telling you, that came out last year.
Then maybe you're right.
Isn't it crazy? We're losing our minds within this podcast. Hey, folks, are you having a good time listening and hanging out with us, by the way? Are you finding anything of what we're doing here valuable every week that we're here, whether it's the podcast or you're using the website a lot? We look at that as value in your pocket, so we ask, can you give us value back in our pocket? One thing you're not going to find here is a bunch of commercials shoved down, a bunch of ad reads. We're not going to mess with any of that. When you go on the website, there won't be paywalls. You don't have to become a member and like monthly subscribe to anything in order to get content. Everything Vin and I do, it's out there. It's technically free for everybody. But if you are using it, if you're finding it valuable, then can you send us value back our way? It's the value for value model. So if you are finding it valuable, head to thedailyratings.com and go to the donations tab. And through all different kind of means and ways, you can just send a donation in our way. and you can pay whatever number you want. We do have some set donations if you want, but there's the big value for value button there, and basically it's whatever amount you want. Everyone's got their own finances. Everybody's week to week is different, and that's why we're doing it this way. So again, head to the donations tab, send in a donation, and become a producer when you do. Anyone who financially supports the Daily Ratings is an actual legitimate credited producer of the Daily Ratings, because that's how they do it in Hollywood. We want to hear from you too, because you're a producer, it's what you do. So write in a note along with your donations, and this note can be questions, comments, critiques, say anything, ask us anything, add to a conversation. That's what it's all about. We want to bring you into the conversation if you're a producer. You can email us your note at tom.vin@thedailyratings.com. That's our email address. Also, if you send in a donation via PayPal, there's a little text box there, and you can write in a small note if you just want to do it that way. To all of our producers who have produced, we thank you. And if you want to be an executive producer of episode 185 for next week, again, head to thedailyratings.com, go to the donations tab. Okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but this is the movie in my mind. Okay, Rebecca, but as far as new movies go, in my mind, this is the movie of the week. This is the TBS dinner and a movie, I think.
What a call out. What a throwback.
On nobody's radar, based on the box office still.
And that's what really made me sad about this. Yeah. It's just like, man, this deserved some love.
It's not like it was on in every movie theater, but it was in enough where basically anyone in America could have went and seen this film over the past weekend, and nobody saw this film.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, when we walked out, one of my main things was, boy, I don't really know. I know what audience this is for, and yet I don't know what audience this is for.
Well, save some of that, because I definitely want to end on that note.
Okay.
Because I think that's probably the most interesting thing to talk about for this movie. Now, post-release, let it get to streaming, and is this going to land at all, or is it going to land where it wants to land? It's hard.
I have no idea what life the movie's going to have.
Yeah.
But I really hope this has lasting power, or 20 years from now, kids are going to be saying when they're grown up a little bit.
Sure.
It's just like, that was a dope movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad we grew up with that.
Yep.
But basically, the reason why we're talking about this, because might be kind of a kids movie. It's trying to be a kids movie. Supposed to be an A24 kids
Cult
movie.
classic kids movie, if that's even the thing.
Right. I'll start by saying, let me just go down, I want to say the MPAA, the rating of the film.
Yep.
And then you just go ahead and take it, and we're going to get into a lot of this stuff. Something tells me we might stick on the Legend of Ochi a little bit longer than what people might be thinking. But basically, this is the rating for the film. So we have some language, thematic elements, smoking, a bloody image, violent content, rated PG. And I love that.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of when we covered the Tom Dailies, I brought this up because it looked weird. It almost seemed like it had some adult content going on.
For sure.
But at the same time, it is billed as a kids movie, and get a little fascinated by it.
Yeah,
it is A24 kind of dipping their toes into PG content. Let's get into it, though. Set up Legend of Ochi, and we'll really talk about it.
Well, I'll start right there. I mean, this is in the ongoing expansion of our type of releases A24 has been experimenting with and putting out, and I guess they give us a PG animated kids movie, but only kinda.
Right.
Which I guess is probably the most A24 thing you could have done with it. The only buzz I heard around this pre-release was the denizens of the internet accusing this of AI-generated animation or AI-generated content. But thankfully, our director, Isaiah Saxon, shut that down pretty fast. Believe it or not, Saxon has been making music videos for indie bands all the way back since 2007, but this has come along as his first feature film, and not only that, a first animated feature film. If I appreciated anything about this interaction, though, as the years go on, I think it is great that we have creators that can kind of wade in the waters of the internet themselves, because otherwise, we might have seen this be wrongfully burnt at the stake, and maybe even do even worse in the box office. I guess it's all the same shame, though, because it didn't really do great at the box office.
And listen, it's a small budget. I don't know if it has to do great.
Yeah, right.
But
that's a good point.
Would like to see a little love.
Absolutely. The Legend of Ochi is not your average kids movie, but kind of a suspenseful and weird fairy tale with a coming-of-age spin. Story structure-wise, I would call it almost a throwback to the older kid finds a creature type movies we used to get. You know, like way different and way darker than something like E.T., but still overall in that ballpark, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what you call it. A never-ending story, probably good another example of that.
Goonies gets a little weird.
Yeah, sure.
Said, and I'll say this now, the first film I said as it ended, it has a weird vibe to it and an almost unsettling thing, and I always got that from James and the Giant Peach.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a great comparison, the mix of live action and animation. In James and the Giant Peach.
Can I jump in right there?
Sure.
I don't think it's right to call this an animated film in any way or animation. Okay. I don't really think there's animation going on. Because as far as the creatures, this is straight puppet work.
There is still CGI behind it. It's a mix of puppetry, animatronics, and CGI, and some of the bigger scenes are still animated. I think you are right though, because it's got way more live action elements than animated elements.
Yeah.
So I think I'm actually on your
And even
side
some
there.
of the scenery that can look weird, and maybe that's some of the AI stuff, that's just straight kind of cool cinematography going on.
Absolutely.
I did some behind the scenes stuff. I think you would be surprised with how much is actually animatronic figures and not animated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Even, let's say, so we're dealing with little Ochis, and then we also have adult Ochis. Even those guys, it's men in suits.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I did some research, mostly actually into what was going on with this setting, where he was filming this. And, and we'll get into that a little bit. That setting, though, is one of the most striking elements of this. On a remote island village, we follow a rebellious little girl named Yuri, who is raised by her father, Willem Dafoe, alongside a pack of boys to hunt down the beasts their town is deathly afraid of. The monkey-like Ochi inhabits their forest, and while these cute creatures might be misunderstood, it seems like the village might just need something to pin their frustrations and fears on. After a chance encounter with a baby Ochi, Yuri runs away from a life she just does not want and is hunted down by her father once he realizes the danger she's in. But once alone with the Ochi, she discovers so much more to the world, given color by the magical singing the creatures use to communicate. I would say, for me, the most defining feature of this was just camera work, the look of the film, and set design. There's almost a Wes Anderson level of obsession to give us picturesque shots,
Yeah.
It's something that you would see on a postcard from this fictional land,
Truly,
Every shot is like that. It has a commitment to it.
And I think it's such props to the director, props to you, and also the cinematographer, who also came from music world.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, these two guys together are just making something look really cool.
Absolutely.
I was kind of, that's perfect. What you, who did you say? Oh,
Wes Anderson.
A Wes Anderson type thing. I had down almost like if Robert Eggers made a kid film, the way Robert Eggers can set a scene kind of and transport you, whether it be the Northman or what he does in Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Some of the shots and that vibe and the look of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. Almost I think if you put together Wes Anderson and Robert Eggers, made a kid film, I think you get this movie.
I would love to swap the color palettes for Legend of Ochi and Nosferatu and see what kind of movies we get. Just like very bloomy, bright, and just swap it wholesale. But I'm with you. I think this is a great example, and honestly, an example we haven't gotten in a while of that successful transition of music video vision, a sharp vision, to movie making.
I'm like, if these boys are anything of what's coming up, keep it going.
Absolutely.
Almost like what Chad Stahelski has done
for
action choreography. Have these boys for directing and cinematography.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, who's the biggest, there's that one guy you like to follow who came from the music world.
Fincher was...
Oh, I wasn't going to think that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was another guy who's younger.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe he did Kin? I can't remember, but there's one guy that you like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's slipping my mind as well, but yeah,
well, that
sometimes is a successful pipeline for directors.
I'm down with that. Well, Alton Brown. Alton Brown came from music videos.
The most successful example. Oh, man. But Saxon pulls off this through plenty of Central European on-location shots, but he also didn't hold back in using classic matte paintings for more of that fantasy look. I really like that. Whether it is a zoom in establishing a scene or a quick cutaway to give us an edit with some impact, consistently this movie was just a feast for the eyes, and it just looked so polished. I kind of don't blame people thinking it was AI, especially like how bright and bloomy,
It had a cleanness to it too.
Yeah.
No, but
so I think it really is understandable. I'm glad it's real though. Thoughtful visuals like this, though, totally up my alley. The closer the final product is to the original vision on its storyboard, the better. And I think when it comes to creating a fantasy and fairy tale story, the audience needs to be captivated. They need the escapism to be something they actually want to escape to. So having this 90-minute runtime be just so visually stunning as its top priority, I think is exactly why I would recommend this to almost anyone, Really, really just a gorgeous story that you wanted to be a part of. And I think I really don't mean to bring up Lord of the Rings.
Please.
I feel like I always kick the hornet's nest on see if I can get you ranting on Rings of Power. But when we talk about fantasy, like wanting to escape to that world, wanting it to be, something that you want to be a part of, Rings of Power, great example of just like it doesn't look like a fantasy. It doesn't sell
feels like
you.
sets. It just feels like sets. Yeah,
exactly. Where this was like, wow, like
it's a different land. It transports you. And that's where I had Northmen. That's where I had Nosferatu. And I understand that goes a little bit darker, different color palette, but it does take you. It has a feel to it. It absolutely has a feel to it.
Yeah,
and they get that perfectly. Very impressive.
Yeah, it really was. Well, Tom, I know we were both in love with just kind of the weird, offbeat Slavic style to everything in this.
Very much so.
Yeah, especially how this setting was a kind of a natural, if not perfect, fit for our boy Willem Dafoe. I guess he knows how to pick them. I had to look it up, honestly. The island Carpathia is completely fictional. I didn't know, if there was relating to, especially like the folklore elements of like, these creatures and whatnot.
Super Eastern European-ish.
Oh, yeah.
And aged Eastern European.
Yeah, weird, like, I don't know, out of time almost.
Correct, yeah.
Looking back at some of also the music videos from our director, like artists like Bjork, it starts to make a lot of sense of where he kind of pulls some of this style from. Willem Dafoe, I think, did an awesome job here, even though it might not break the mold he set for himself and only himself. It's just like, I see these roles and it's just like, oh man, that's perfect for Dafoe. And it's like, but who's even going to try to act in that? Like, he's made his own category.
He kind of did because, I mean,
he made his own
anyone
typecasting.
else? This is Willem Dafoe. I mean, I feel like almost zero direction is needed for him in this.
Right. And to the smallest detail, he probably suggested it.
He can walk in, say, where's the camera? And then it says, it's like, hey, Will, just do your thing, please. And then you're good.
Exactly.
I mean, he's a rock star. He is a class act. He's great.
It really is. It really is great.
He's so good at this.
I feel like he just did a just such a entertaining job in the story, especially the scenes where he's just like yelling at these boys under his wing, trying to make them men. It was just so great. He's also an interesting antagonist for the story because this just feels like it felt right in line with the older style of kids' movies where the villain is only the villain through misunderstanding, and definitely between the Pixar, the main Disney releases that we've touched on, that's kind of gone away, but is a successful skeleton to how you make a villain that's not outright like a terrible person and has like a redemption towards the end. But part of his squad is also Finn Wolfhard, who I just kind of wish was given more to work with here, but you thought a little bit different, Tom. Yeah, I wanted to...
Well, Finn Wolfhard, he's from Stranger Things. He's starting to crop up a little bit more. I even told you, I do think he's directing something here.
Really?
It might even come out, but there's something in the works there. And... listen, it's a small film, and you don't have a lot of roles to share.
Yeah.
You really have her, you have and Willem really take the two largest roles. And Finn was just peppered in there barely, and he was fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't need to be this star. Just the character was written funny, barely has to say anything, and I just liked that we had a very familiar face and a person who's really coming up in the ranks taking such a small role like this.
Sure.
He could tell that he probably just liked the script, wanted to be a part of the project, and I love seeing him.
Yeah.
I really appreciate actors like that, especially up-and-comers, where they're not afraid to take a role like this. When maybe a lot of people would be like, well, that's beneath you. You're up on the rise. I mean, this isn't you. You don't need to say 2 lines in a movie.
Right.
And
Which it might be at that level.
And you know what?
Like
He was
single-digit.
perfect in the role. Happy to see him.
Yeah. I am with you as far as I guess I just want something more from him. Or want something more for him. Maybe like I said, or like you said, if he's directing this movie coming up, that's certainly a great opportunity for him to grow. But I think back to his inclusion, or barely his inclusion, in Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire, the most recent Ghostbusters movie. And it's just like, it's even in scenes they feel like they're forgetting him. Like even in the scenes he's in, it's just like, oh, don't forget about me. Like he's like in the very corner. Of
I
the
think
frame.
he'll get out of that. He does. He's also a very scrawny little kid. Too.
Yeah.
So he has actually 4.
Also not a kid anymore.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't even, how old is he?
God knows what last episode or last season of Stranger Things gonna look
Yeah, I mean,
like.
he's just in his young 20s. He has 4 director credits, by the way.
Oh, wow.
So he has a short. He has a movie called Hell of a Summer that came out in 2023. He did a music video in 2017, and his latest was a music video in 2024.
Well, there you go. He might be in the same.
Maybe that's
yeah.
how these. Yeah,
I know.
It's amazing what the computer in front of us can do.
Amazing how we can make leaps of logic by little connections. The real star of the show, though, is Baby Ochi himself, and is kind of pulled off in a wonderful mix of puppetry, animatronics, and CGI. But like
You are about CGI, especially in the beginning.
Yeah,
bit of a scrum, you could say.
Love that. That's great.
I don't want to give anything away.
A little bit of a scrum, a little bit of scrap.
The reason why I want to say I don't want to call it an animation because I don't want people expecting that they're going to an animated film in any way.
Where main characters, no less, all of the characters are human. Yeah. I agree. But I would say, much like the care put into the gorgeous-looking setting, there is not a single scene where Ochi looks bad. And more than a few moments will have you wondering, how exactly did they pull that off? I feel like the production story behind this is very interesting, especially now that those AI accusations have been debunked. Throughout the story, though, we get some real Baby Yoda style cuteness all over the place with this, which honestly surprised me for that reason almost alone, that this just didn't do better in the box office, kids seeing it or not. Just the premise of cute creature would have just attracted more than what this did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I just don't think it had marketing at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think not only did anybody not see it, nobody knows it exists.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Also, don't go correcting me in the comments calling him Grogu or whatnot. If you want a hot take that will burn your fingers off, calling him Grogu versus Baby Yoda is me implying that Mandalorian was already past the point of watching by the time we discover his name.
So it's Baby Yoda. That's Grogu.
Yeah, that's Grogu.
So the new film that's coming out
is
Mandalorian versus Grogu.
I don't think it's verse.
Oh, it's Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah,
I had no idea that Grogu was Baby Yoda.
Yeah. Wow.
Fascinating.
Okay. Yeah, well, that is actually in line with your first season rule, because we wouldn't have... you don't discover that till season 2.
And I only watched season 1. How about that? I want to make... can we jump on to main actress, Helena Zengel?
Sure,
or are we still going on the Ochis?
No, that was about it. About it.
I don't want to... she was fantastic. I think she's the star of the show.
Yeah,
The Ochis are a nice, side addition.
Sure.
I just think she's a kid actor.
Yeah.
She still entertains. She was fantastic in it.
Absolutely, and goes far just not having a lot of lines, almost like Finn Wolfhard. I mean, there was just less is more kind of thing.
Right, she has to really just do a lot more acting kind of deal. I just thought she was really great, and she held the movie on her back because she's in basically every single scene.
Yeah.
Or close to it.
Absolutely.
And I just thought she really sold the character, and I don't know where you're going with in your notes, but the movie does have a weird comedic beat throughout, especially the first half. I think we both agreed the first half of the film was better than the second.
Yeah.
because it had humor to it. I mean, you were smirking a decent amount because the wittiness, almost stupid humor of the writing was sold.
Yeah.
And the director also did the writing as well.
Yeah.
Kind of impressed.
Yeah, there was just something there that, I thought certain things were going to be set up to be cliche in the way of kids' movies would have been, acceptable.
Yeah, absolutely.
But time after time, there was just little moments where it was just, offbeat or weird for some reason. I was just like, oh, this is actually funny for that reason.
Yeah, it totally works.
Yeah.
But, Helena Zengal playing Yuri. I thought she really knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely.
I would love to see her more as she gets into her 20s.
For sure. Actually, really where I wanted to kind of end things is really the big question. Would you think you would actually show this to a kid?
Yeah.
Or do you think they would like it? I think, yeah.
That was the question. It was what age of your child would you feel comfortable bringing them?
Yeah, what is the line
I
there?
think I said possibly 8 to 12.
Yeah, 8 to 12 is definitely
Because
good.
once when you're 13, maybe 13, but once when you're 13, 14, and you just want to get dropped off from your parents and see a movie, I don't think you're going to see Legend of Ochi.
Right.
I think you should.
Yep.
I think it's this is, I don't know. This is so much. Oh, I'm not even going to say what I was about to say.
Say it.
This is so much more adult than Horizon American Saga Chapter 1. Where I kept on saying during that review, if you're 11, this is great. If you're 11, this would be good.
Baby's first Western.
Exactly. This respects the kid's intelligence.
Yeah.
And not only that, oftentimes with Pixar, it's the kids have their thing, but there's some jokes and there's stuff in there for the adult.
Yep.
This movie just as a whole, totally fine for an adult. Clearly.
Also
we
totally
enjoyed
fun for a
ourselves.
kid. Yeah.
Ish, yes, totally.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe not totally.
It is a big question. It can be weird and dark and creepy and unusual and unsettling.
Yep.
And I don't know what that means. That doesn't scream kid movie, but at the same time, it can be charming and cute and nice.
Yeah.
And it's a weird balance that I think at the low end 8 and at the high end 13.
Yeah. And that's exactly why I kind of wanted to end it on that question, because I definitely agree with you, but it is, more for the function of recommending this movie. What do you think is intended with that? And I absolutely agree. It's not all kids. It's kind of a window for kids.
Right.
I think most of all, this just reminded me, along what I was saying with Willem Dafoe's character and how that's not an outright villain, but an antagonist for the story. This reminded me of those type of kids' movies we just got back in the day, where there might be even some scary elements outright, but it doesn't play it safe or it doesn't play softball on the behalf of its intended audience. That is a lesson I wish Pixar and Disney knew how to go back to, but I guess we'll have to wait for our next A24 kids movie to come along. We're going to go ahead and give The Legend of Ochi a 76.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Hey, yo.
Real good.
76%.
Real good.
Vincent Dale, okay. I love that you gave me that score. We really enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
We were pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we mentioned the music choices, by the way. Great in the film. Great in the film. And although I think it peters off a little bit, second half, third act, we enjoyed the entire ride.
Absolutely.
Which is really great.
It kind of exchanges the comedy in the first half for the wonder of it is an adventure ultimately,
Super glad it exists. I hope people show their kids in a certain. For instance, shit is said 3 times. So I just feel like a 6-year-old. No, not good for a 6-year-old.
But 8-year-old, that maybe sparks
We're getting
something.
there. We're
Yeah,
getting
it
there.
sparks a love of movies.
Right, like mommy, daddy. You've said that word before. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know if I think that's all my notes as well. And you kind of just have to see it to experience it. I think we're dancing around a lot of it, not talking too much about specifics of the film, because go and see it.
Yeah.
And go enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
I do have a 2 shoes for this.
Okay.
And I was kind of going back through my 2 shoe scores of kids films.
Oh.
Since you and I often see kids films.
Sure.
Over the years.
Yeah, there's an unusual trend there.
I really live in the 1 shoe, 1 lace.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes dipping down into just 1 shoe, no lace.
Yeah.
Borderline flip-flop territory. Moana was there.
Yeah.
Mufasa just got into just 1 shoe, 1 lace
So
tied.
true.
I'm so excited to give this a very hearty, with a shine, 2 shoes.
2 shoes.
No laces, but a full-on 2 shoes.
Absolutely.
It ain't tripping that much, that's for sure. For kids. And for a kids film, I think that speaks a lot.
Yeah.
For me, which usually I just can't tolerate any of it.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know. It's man. what a different experience, and so great to not see typical generic slosh.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And for parents, you're going to enjoy yourselves too because it's A24.
Yeah.
A double header I kind of had. For an adult was Captain Fantastic.
Oh.
Weird Family.
Yeah, Weird Family.
Weird Family on Weird Family.
Absolutely. Probably some of Wes Anderson's stuff, honestly, too.
It feels a little Pacific Northwesty, too,
yes.
when you get into the woods.
Yep, absolutely.
And a haziness and a fogginess.
Yep.
So I was kind of had that in my mind for a doubleheader. Do you think, and I don't know to stick on it too long, but this is getting dubbed by critics a lot online, A24 ET.
Oh, well, I mean, that was in my own comparison. Didn't know that was in the talking sphere of it.
I don't know if it does it justice.
Yeah, I don't think it does it justice. It does hit on kid with creature as a story structure, which is just, we haven't had a movie like that, a true blue movie like that come along in a while.
Yeah, in a long time. Wow.
I think best case scenario, this kind of maybe holds up like a Brave Little Toaster or Iron Giant, where it's like there's some scary elements, there's some stuff that is just like will stick with you if you're a kid watching it, but that's why it's also kind of great,
Absolutely. From your mouth to God's ears. I hope this becomes a Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah! Oh man, I used to love Brave Little Toaster.
Oh, that was my jam too.
Hell yeah.
Brave Little Toaster, Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, Land Before Time.
Oh, of course.
Got the tree, Star Leaf, whatever it was.
Got it on VHS in a suitcase in the old bedroom there, Vin.
Ready to leave. Ready to pack up and leave.
Any finishing notes here? Anything to end on next week or roll credits?
I guess let's talk about next week a little bit. Like I said, I was really... Havoc did me dirty. Gareth Evans did me dirty.
Yeah, he did.
I was really repping for him, but I do want to circle back for Raid 1 and 2. If anything, like I said, Thunderbolts is an action movie. I would love to just have a relief of that with a really, really excellent action movie. Hitchcock slot, I don't have cemented just yet, but Thunderbolts is the new release. I don't know how
we're
it's
gonna watch it.
I've heard people say horrible things about it. I've heard people say it's you're signing up for Marvel Suicide Squad. Guess what? You got Marvel Suicide Squad.
I know one guy that's super excited for it.
You're right.
It's one of my Sherwin guys.
Sure.
Yeah. He's actually very excited, and it's tracking to have a very good opening weekend, believe it or not.
Really?
There is I want to say buzz, but there is interest in the film. Let's say that.
Well, I guess to be fair as well, you look at the newest Captain America that came out a couple months ago. That in the runway of how many weeks we've had has done kind of all right. It hasn't been the throwaway that it was on opening weekend.
I think if you look at the number, it looks like a big number, and that's all right. How much they actually needed to make money on that film?
Oh, sure,
different story.
Budget.
I don't think it actually did that well in the end.
I see.
Thunderbolts, though, and it could just be the fact that we are finishing a Marvel phase, so we are getting out of Phase 5 with Thunderbolts before we hit Phase 6 in the summer. So it could be that. What loose ends are going to be tied up, maybe even.
Sure.
But
I just know that when I've seen a movie have 4+ attempts at a marketing campaign with different tones from each of them, different styles. Oh yeah, this has been just like constantly rehashed to the point that they're really marketing it as like a serious action movie now. Man, I don't have good hope for that.
But we are excited to see you next week nonetheless. And not only that, the Raid movies, I'm excited to get that on the podcast.
Hell
and
yeah.
honestly, I need to return to those.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
The Raid 2, I was asleep for most of that, to be honest about it. So excited to see the Raid. Folks, if you're at all into a John Wick, into any type of action film, The Raid is so beloved by not just Vin. It's got a massive cult following, and for good reason.
And for good reason.
Stick around next week because that's going to be fun to actually, like I said, talk about it, get it on the podcast. Other than that, Vin, thank you so much for watching these films here. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Folks at home, we'll run these down one more time. We have Rebecca with an 84%, big score. We then have Havoc with a 49%, Until Dawn with a 55%, and The Legend of Ochi with a 2 shoes, no laces, and a 76%. Folks, as always, it's a blast hanging out every week. And of course, we'll be seen here next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast. And hey, if you enjoyed the podcast, if you would, give us a good rating or get the word out and tell a friend about us. Just a reminder, the Daily Ratings is completely producer supported, so we want to stay away from advertising, and we don't want to have any paywalls or tier structures or subscriptions. It's all just value for value. So, are you finding value in what we're doing here at the Daily Ratings? Then become a producer and donate whatever amount of value that is. Just go to the donations tab on thedailyratings.com, and while you're there, be sure to check out the massive amount of films that Vince has rated. So thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Daily Ratings Podcast.